Hey Muses! Hi, hello, and welcome. If this is your first time finding my channel, my name is Tyler, also known as T-Mann Tarot, here on the interwebs, your favorite tarot deck professional, here to do another deep dive of the Star String Tarot by Eliza Kingsbury, published by U.S Games. If you would like to see the quick down and dirty version of this lovely deck review, that's going to be popping up somewhere here on the video. Go watch that and then come back and finish this deep dive with us. So, comes in this beautiful new designed tuck box. So thank you, U.S Games, for changing the game on that. So let's dive here quickly into the guidebook. By simply existing, we share the common thread of anatomy, nature, and the cosmos. When we tie these themes to our human experience, we can find new meanings in life, like the stars that string together in the sky to offer navigational guidance. I hope this deck helps you navigate through your own life experiences. You can use this deck however you wish. The cards can be read upright or inversed to take more opposite or diminished meanings of the cards. The meanings of the cards are listed, but feel free to use your interpretations. Enjoy the journey. And we have a little 3-card spread. Now, this guidebook is very straightforward and very simple, right? Jump to the lovers, duality, connection, union, partnership, right? Just a little straightforward. I would love to have an expanded guidebook where we talk about all of the kind of characters and things that we see in the cards. So let's start with the majors. All right, I absolutely love the Fool card here. Kind of running through the woods, this little jackalope creature. I'm gonna see, can I zoom us in just a little bit? Ooh, sorry, friends. All right. The Fool, jackalope, running through nature, this wild, wide-eyed individual, kind of running down the path of light in between the woods, also giving me like Alice in Wonderland, White Rabbit vibes. Jump scare, spider, watch out. It's interesting too, I didn't notice at first, but the shape of the spider looks like an eyeball. Right? If I turned that this way for the magician, it's an eye, right? What are you looking at? What are you spinning your web on? What are you kind of putting out there into the universe? But that eye, what are you seeing, is very powerful here. The High Priestess looks like a little another rabbit. We're already starting strong with a rabbity creature. But again, those eyes. There seems to be a theme with like the first 3 cards here having this wide-eyed kind of energy here. So interesting take. High Priestess, love the connection here to the moon aspect and looking at kind of where we're going and kind of the flow of things, kind of also emphasizing of like almost like a That's So Raven moment. The Empress sitting in nature with that ring of light here around her head. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I think that is also true connected to the Empress. Again, back with these eye aspects, right? The eyes here are closed here. The Emperor has this moth that looks like an all-seeing kind of eye on a trunk of a tree. The Hierophant, loyalty, stability. Also, it's interesting how this deck is learning to see and to read, right? I also love that this is kind of giving the idea of like a well-worn path here. Okay, so I talked about this card briefly in the deep dive, or in the unboxing, but I am obsessed with this Lovers card because you can see that not only are the two trees intertwining here in the middle with a rising sun or setting, right? But it's also down here in the roots are connecting. The roots are choosing to connect to each other. The Chariot, kind of the palm of your hand, setting course and setting the drive. Strength being a anatomical heart, kind of what is pumping. And I always say that too, there's no reins between the driver and the chariot, right? Between the chariot and the horses, the sphinxes, there's the word, Tyler, for this. So it's interesting that, you know, it's really pulling on that heartstring about what's setting that course. The Hermit being, oh my God, not a dragonfly. Somebody in the comments, my brain is hurting this. Lanternfly? Lanternfly? Not a lanternfly. You know what I mean. The one that their butts light up, right? Kind of showing their light in the darkness. Wheel of Fortune definitely giving the balance and the cycles between the phoenix. I'm assuming it's a phoenix, right? Kind of has this fiery nature and this cycle. I always say that the death card is like a phoenix, so it's interesting that they put the Wheel of Fortune. And this is why I love all the different tarot decks that are out there, because it's all artist interpretation of what the cards mean, but they all stay true to the definitions of that kind of, you know, RWS, Aleister Crowley, Golden Dawn Order, or Marseille Tarot kind of structure and meaning. Justice having the duality of like light and dark, night and day, right and wrong, really kind of emphasizing that cause and effect aspect. The Hanged One, we've gotten rid of the gender here, which totally fine. Where did eyes show up? Okay, opened eyes, closed eyes. Kind of looks like, you know, the light of the bug's butt is the light. Hanged One, right? The eyes are wide open, and it's like that is their sensor in the dark here, which is quite an interesting take. Death here. Love this like headspace card here. I believe when they said in the creation, yeah, okay. The Star String Tarot, in early 2020, I started drawing my own interpretations of the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot cards. The first illustration I created was the Death card. It was from this design that I decided to base the entire deck around things of anatomy, nature, and the cosmos. After completing the major arcana designs, I moved to the minor arcana, representing by leaves and plants for pentacles, feathers and birds for swords, waves and oceans for cups, ocean creatures for cups, and meteors and land animals for wands. So, yeah, she started with this, and I just love this death card, right? The rose still tying into that RWS rose that we see on the flag that death carries. And then the moth at the heart here, moth at the heart center. All right, Temperance, the balance. These hands are beautiful. And it's interesting. We'll see shortly, too, that this theme of water being in swirls comes back into play. The Devil being kind of this mirror, but this spooky outstretched hands coming in from the background is interesting. It's definitely that mirror effect that the Devil has. Like, what are we looking at in the mirror? And it doesn't necessarily have to be so kind of angry that some of the Devil cards look like. This is kind of welcoming in the idea of like, we have to make some difficult choices and some hard changes. The Tower. Bum, bum, bum. Dropped in my pen. Hold on. Ugh. The Tower card here, again, with the swirls here, right? Just looking ahead here. Yeah, we do see stormy texture here in both the cups and the wand suit, but this lightning about to strike the tree is a theme I have seen before in other tarot decks. So this is nothing new. This is not a new concept, but it's still a powerful one. The star playing here, we still have that nude figure here, kind of still pouring the cups, but holding on to that big star energy of hope. The moon, the unknown, the eyes coming back again. This is a very seeing kind of understanding, like, what are we looking at? But the moon, the unknown, the deep, scary, to still also tying in the idea of the zodiac of a Pisces too. The sun, sunflowers, seeing the joy, the optimism, the happiness, right? Judgment, cicada. This is so powerful for me, that like the fact that the cicada lives underground for so many years on years on years before they decide to come out, really emphasizing that sometimes judgment, that call, takes a while for it to happen. End the world. I don't know what this is. If anyone has understood what this is, what tied to the universe, is this the sun itself through a, like, not a magnifying glass, but like looking at it through a telescope? Like, what is it? Is it solar flares? Is it, the mitochondriac, the powerhouse of a cell? Like, what is it? Or is it just the unknown Milky Way? Like, this is an unknown concept to me that I still don't necessarily know. So the pentacle suits are leaves and plants. So really emphasizing that growth journey that the pentacles have. So the ace is a leaf in the forest, really emphasizing this like detail here in the veining of the leaf here. Dragonflies circling each other, heart pulling into that, the balance, the flight. Also too, the dragon, like the lore of how dragonflies turn into dragonflies. They originally are like living in the water, and then they climb out and they go through this radical change here. So like intuitive timing, like it's not scheduled. They just all of a sudden decide to not be water creatures and then come out. So it's a lovely kind of take with the Two of Pentacles. The Three of Pentacles, teamwork, and it's a lovely little ant colony. Look at those ants building their little home together. So powerful on that Three of Pentacles teamwork. Four of Pentacles being a Venus flytrap, also reminds me of Little Shop of Horrors and the Audrey 2, right? The viciousness of the plant here, protecting, but also devouring things that are kind of meant to live. Love that kind of take on this. The Five of Pentacles, we have that wintry hardness, right? That stubbed toe energy, but also it reminds us that like, hey, things have to go dormant. We have to struggle for a second here before that new growth can come back. Six of Pentacles, that harvest. Corn. Okay, so this is giving me Shucked, the musical too, right? I didn't know, the Corn musical. It's that harvest. It's that bounty. It's that understanding that everything works together. It's balanced. It's an even exchange here, right? There's so much symmetry here. Understanding that desire for balance and having that even exchange, and how the harvest can all work simultaneously together. Seven of Pentacles, I think it's more to focus on the ivy and how ivy can run wild and take over something. As I'm standing in my office space and I'm looking actually outside the window, there's ivy that has grown over the townhouse apartment building, and it's scaling up the sides of the wall and it's starting to cover over the windows. So that Seven of Pentacles and the ivy really connecting, saying like, hey, if you're gonna climb, if you're gonna grow, you better hold on and fight to stay there. Eight of Pentacles, our little busy bees, our hard workers, our pollinators. I definitely see that Eight of Pentacles connection. The Nine of Pentacles, the praying mantis. Interesting. Nine of Pentacles. Okay. So if we look at this from the female perspective of the praying mantis, right? They mate with their partner and then eat their head off, right? So really emphasizing this like, hey, we don't need anyone. We've got it all. We can be confident in ourselves. Yeah, we might like to date and hook up or have a little rendezvous, but we don't need nobody. We are an independent person. 10 of Pentacles. Love the cyclical, love the tie again to the wheel here. I'm missing just a little bit of the call for the family legacy. Oh, there's a lovely little ladybug, it looks like, here in the center of the card. So yeah, nothing truly new to take away from, right? This really got me going and thinking about a different way of talking about the 9 of Pentacles. This, not so much. The Page of Pentacles, this little inchworm on this fern, possibly, right? But this unfurling, and also the Fibonacci spiral here. So the Fibonacci spiral and the pneumatic element of that, like, you have to start somewhere. You have to start at the smallest number before you can grow and multiply and add on, right? And slow and steady, and it's growing, right? Very Page of Pentacles energy. The Knight of Pentacles. Well, hi, this is Scorpio, which is interesting to tie here. Slow and steady, desert. It's going to take a lot to get through. We might be in unnoted terrain. Interesting concept here. Queen of Pentacles. It's giving the giving tree. It's giving like, hey, fruitful, abundance, kind, and caring, but like, are we a little bit poisonous? Are we a little bit dangerous? Like, are we going to let people take too much advantage of us? Is really that story of the giving tree is a lovely tie and connection to the Queen of Pentacles. And last for our Pentacles is the King of Pentacles, a grasshopper. Invasive, but also very strong, noisy, boisterous. The Swords suit is feathers and birds, to give flight, to move quickly, for knowledge, wisdom. So we just have a singular feather here for the Ace of Wands, that high potential for flight. Crow or raven for the Two of Swords, but choosing to logically fly forward, still pulling into that High Priestess energy, but noting that like a decision has been made, right? And the decision has been to fly forward. They've made the easy and simple decision to keep themselves moving. 3 of Swords. Oh, this is so tragic. And notice too, the themes here, right? We're gonna see these windy spirals or some sort of air movement here in the details. So just keep paying attention to where that shows up. Oh, this little bird right in the heart. Sad that it's dead, right? Because it's tying into the 10 of Swords energy, which I don't necessarily connect with to the 3 of Swords, right? It's managing expectations, right? But having this flock of birds up here as well is like, did we not play well with others? Did we not teamwork well? Like, or did somebody not hold up their end of the bargain? So I do like that there's this additional entity of something, an outside circumstance that might have affected our heart space. A sleepy little owl for the 4 of Swords, and really emphasizing that need for rest and inner peace. I also love that the tree is, in its hollowness, has kind of the universe back there. It isn't just in a cave, but they're in their thoughts here of like a starry night, a peaceful evening. 5 of Swords, definitely giving that tension and that conflict. Again, it's look at the eyes here. Okay, look at the eyes. Opened eyes and like wild, or is this open eye and this wild? This duality here is fun to play with, but it still gives that notion of 5 of Swords being an unfair competition. Actions have consequences. And is this the same bird processing the things that they've done? Love that. 6 of Swords, take flight. Could this be like a seagull or an alcatraz or some sort of sea creature? Really tying in still for that 6 of Swords of journey, right? Choosing to move beyond what it is. And I love that it also is kind of giving, like, the bird has lost its feathers, right? So what have you let go of so that you can logically move on and take flight? Oops, seven of swords. Okay, this is interesting, right? Taking things that don't belong to you. Yes, we can see that. But because it's a bird, and I don't know if it's specifically this bird, but there are birds who build their nests by scavenging and taking things that don't belong to them to help build their home. Not saying that's right? If you're taking something that you've found, right? I'm not saying take from thy neighbor or whatever, right? But like, it's this notion too. It's also reminding me here of living in New York City. People will put things that they don't want anymore on the side of the streets, right? If it's still in good condition, there's stooping apps or stooping Instagram channels and like, buy nothing Facebook groups where people give things, right? So this is an interesting take. Yeah, we can play with that idea of taking something that doesn't belong to you. But are we taking something, harnessing our choice of destination by taking something, reclaiming and repurposing it into something else that helps for us? Sometimes I need to go back and listen to these videos because it helps me figure out other ways to interpret the cards, and I love it. All right, 8 of Swords, definitely that mental attack. They look like they're scared of something, scared of their own thoughts. Oh, ooh, you don't need to stand there, right? That thorn, yeah, I know birds are technically built to stand on thorns and things like that, but if I'm talking to you as a reading, the barbed wire thorns standing on, like, are we standing on our own problems? Are we standing on our own pain? Oh, so good. Okay, 9 of Swords. Oop, trying to go to sleep and our brain is spiraling, right? Things are going around. Because Ethan and I have loved watching all of the David Attenborough Wild Planet things. So we've seen birds and other animals sleep with like their head between their wings. So that's what I'm definitely seeing here. And this spiral, this circling, this in the evening going in a spiral is still playing on that Rider-Waite-Smith imagery of the 9 of Swords. Excuse me. 10 of Swords, downfall. See, this is interesting because if we're comparing here, right, that 10 of Swords doesn't give me what the 3 of Swords does. Heat wave, and I have to hydrate real quick. I get more 10 of Swords out of this than this is giving me. Because where is the finality? Where is the end of the thought? Where is the need to move on and change? I get move on and change from this, not that. Page of Swords being a hummingbird, and y'all know hummingbirds have a really important meaning for me. So it's hard to see this one as a Page of Swords because if you are familiar with the Orion Animal Tarot, and if I can put it here too, I will. We'll see if I can make another little pop-up here of an old deck review. The Orion Animal Tarot has the Queen of Swords being a hummingbird. So I still play with both of these, but I think the Page of Swords for this one, what I'm going to pay attention to is the light source coming over the nectar, especially because Eliza has put this little star here in the plant. It's not necessarily the hummingbird, it's the new growth, it's the new plant, it's the nectar of wisdom, the new nectar of wisdom that's calling to us. The annoying Knight of Swords being a rooster. God, could you imagine? farm animals. Listen, if you live on a farm, I grew up in the country part of Connecticut. So like, yeah, I know people have chickens and roosters and all of that stuff, but I could not be interested in being woken up by one of these every morning. So that's that boisterous, loud, obnoxious noise, annoyance. But you sure got a lot to say. The Queen of Swords being some sort of eagle or hawk or falcon. Here, a predator setting boundaries, kind of circling here, hunting for prey. These are kind of the notions that the Queen of Swords doesn't go kind of looking for trouble, but when they find it, they enforce that boundary here. And the King of Swords being either a crow or a raven, right? But just being a wise, and they both, raven and crow, kind of are the same. I know they're not the same thing, right? But like when you watch videos of people trying to like partner with crows or ravens, they understand people's faces and the recognition. And when you befriend them, they become a wise protector. So that's an interesting take. Our wands suit is meteors and land animals. So meteor shower here. I want to know if this is actually a constellation or if it's just a made up to look like one. So that's an interesting take, but definitely feeling that spark, feeling that fire, feeling that like, ooh, wishes are coming, things are coming true. Two of Wands, it's the direction for me, the Two of Wands, right? The eye is going in two different directions here when the Two of Wands in the Pamela Coleman Smith illustration is standing on a ledge, holding two things with the world in their hand, looking at where to go. And the sly fox is quick and moving here. So love that connection here. The Three of Wands here, which way do we go? The bigger picture, what's out on the horizon? How do we slither? How do we move down this next path here? Four of Wands, hearth and home to its core here. And the like meteors or the star flashes that we see are the wands, right? Air quotes around the word wands, right? But this is still giving the four huppah vibe. They're in that row. We see a den at home. Mama is at peace while the children are at play. Five of Wands, that entanglement here. Still, I always call the Five of Wands a dick measuring contest, and that is button heads for no good. There's no one here. This is just like a dominance game, right? Who's gonna be the win? Is this overthrowing somebody, right? You know, the leader of the pack, the alpha trying to be beat by somebody new. Like, is this worth the fight here? The Six of Wands choosing to lead our good Leo friend here with strength. I want to back up and see here. Justice. What? Hermit. Strength. Okay, strength is the heart. So that's why they put the lion as a land animal here for the Six of Wands and not any sort of Leo lion for the strength card. And we don't have necessarily... Okay, so the majors, I'm assuming, are anatomy, nature, and the cosmos. So interesting. Leading the pack, leading the tribe. Get that. Ooh, our prickly, pointy Seven of Wands. Really kind of defending ourselves here, standing up for ourselves. But why... I'm going to go back here. So the way I described the Seven of Pentacles is how I was describing the Seven of Wands. So if this kind of still goes with it, but this is the pivot point. Seven of Pentacles being like, how do you grow? And do you keep growing or do you need to change things? The way I talked about this in the Pentacles was giving Seven of Wands with having to defend yourself. The porcupine being the Seven of Wands, having to stand up for yourself. How are you protecting yourself? definitely resonates here. This is why we take a moment to go through the cards to understand things, because trying to read these just straight out of the box can always lead to complications. Eight of Wands, still movement, fortune favors the bold, things are coming true, keep wishing, keep dreaming. This is an RWS copy. The Nine of Wands. I love that this little lizard has lost his tail. Really emphasizing that we are diligent, we are trying, we have made sacrifices. We're almost there. Stay diligent, stay strong, and keep going. The Ten of Wands. Oh, the elephant holding all of these wands. Can't see. You can see how you can pull all of the RWS imagery from this card just by the way that is stacked. The Page of Wands, they look so scared. They look kind of, they're on a high of some sort. But a Page of Wands, a new spark, kind of new direction. But those eyes are silly. The Knight of Wands, charging head after it, strong, following your passions, blazing the trail. The Queen of Wands. So we have our little black cat friend that we usually see on the Queen of Wands sitting right next to her, guiding her way and protecting her. And she, black cats. I got Barney. He doesn't need permission. He just does what he wants to do. That true saying, if I fits, I sits. And the King of Wands is kind of a wolf creature howling at the moon, taking big chances, proclaiming things to the universe, and taking action to getting it. And last, but certainly not least, our cups are water, and these are water creatures and shells and things like that. Again, pay attention to the swirl. The swirl is the water here. So new emotions coming out of a shell here. Beautiful imagery. Two of Cups, emotional choices, how we commit, and I love that it's a seahorse. Again, the male seahorses take responsibility for growing and birthing the babies, not the female. So really emphasizing that idea of who you are committing to and the things that you are taking on. Three of Cups, the dolphins traveling packs, really emphasizing like your core friendships, the things that you find important, your ride or dies, your kind of school of fish, if you will, your pod. Anglerfish with the Four of Cups, so interesting, right? We're paying attention to our own light and not the light of other people, which is a tie to the Four of Cups, putting our own emotional needs first instead of other people. But it's interesting that in the dark, we follow our light to gain things. But also too, if again, Mercury in retrograde is really being a pain in the butt, lost storage. So Four of Cups, again, leading your own emotional well-being and kind of kindness. Five of Cups, moving past the shoulda, couldas, and wouldas. Here, I don't necessarily see the looking back or trying to kind of cope with this thing. That's why it kind of had a little brain fart here trying to figure out what the Five of Cups was, because I don't necessarily feel that connection to the idea of like, hey, we're looking back at things. Six of Cups being the otters here, emotional play, whimsy, nostalgia, having fun, playing and choosing to be with other people. Seven of Cups, okay, this idea of it's hard to get indecision of options here. Not gonna lie, because I'm not necessarily sure what they're trying to choose, these jellyfish. Eight of Cups is this kind of, well, what are we moving to? Are we going away? Are we going downwards, right? This little octopus heading down. So I can kind of play with that moving away from this swirl that is the cups here. But it's interesting. I'm not necessarily, there's not as much movement in the cups correlating for me that I would hope there would be. Nine of Cups, that idea of contentment, that wishing for the pearl, sitting happy as a clam. So I can kind of get that. The coral takes its time to grow. And this notion, Ten of Cups, kind of feels at home and happiness here. Yep, that's right. It also feels like it takes a long time, but it's not necessarily giving me family happiness. I don't know. It's off. I feel off right now because I got so distracted by things. Page of Cups is this little sea lion. Array for the Knight of Cups. A whale for the Queen of Cups. And the King of Cups being the sea turtle. But I'm going to give you that quick little shuffle here of the cards. Careful, Tyler. But I hope you enjoyed this deep dive. So beautiful. A closer inspection of the individual cards is coming up right now, friends.